Hi guys, welcome to today's video on deep regret and what their pride would never tell you. So some people are way too prideful to admit to anything or apologize for anything, so this video is about those folks. Okay, so for group 1 we have blue Kyanite and the 10 of Pentacles. Group 2, pink Opal and the Death card. For group 3 we have this Cheetah Agate and the Hermit card. And for group 4, this rainbow Pyrite and the 5 of Wands. So go ahead and select your pile using your intuition. I will give you a few moments. The timestamps will be posted in the description and the comments down below. Okay, hi group 1. Those of you who picked this Kyanite and this 10 of Pentacles, this is your reading on deep regret and what their pride would never tell you. So, I'll start with this Tower card and Judgment and stability. So with the Tower, like these are sort of opposites, right? Like there's stability and then there's the Tower. So I'm taking these as like polar opposites, you know? This is something being completely uprooted, unstable, just like this major thing that happens. And so I'm getting this feeling of duality with this individual. And, you know, I'm relating it to this Judgment card, which is I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. So what I'm getting with this is that, like, there's two sides to this. On the one hand, this person's aware that we all have our own challenges and the things that we face. But on the other hand, I feel like this person is also very judgmental, right? And they kind of go back and forth between these two things of being very judgmental, and on the other hand, when they become a little bit more calm and self-regulated, they're able to understand that, okay, we're all different. Everyone has their own stuff that they have to deal with. But with this, with the Six of Wands in reverse and calming the waters, peaceful self-regulation, I feel like this person really struggles to regulate their emotions and themselves. And when they get all worked up, they're unable to look at things clearly. We have Athena, wise decision, and Kadesh with sexual wisdom. And these are both wisdom cards, right? And the reason I think they struggle so much, because we also have Sacred Mountain, the Phoenix in reverse, and Golden Healer. So with these, I'm getting that this person is aware that they have issues regulating their emotions. And I'm getting that this stems from their past, their family. These parents are really standing out. And there's a lot of work that sort of needs to be done with that. Because I get that this person, for one, doesn't recognize how judgmental they are at times, because it's like when they're out of control, or I said out of control, but when their emotions are sort of, when they're triggered, when their emotions are set off, they just struggle to regulate themselves. And it isn't until some time passes that they realize that they were kind of like wrong, you know, and that it's almost like a lack of patience, a lack of understanding, because all that they can feel is their emotions in that moment. And with this Golden Healer card, it's like there's just they realize that they have a lot of healing and a lot of work to do. I'm getting that with all these cards. I mean, these are in reverse. Sacred Mountains, this is about reflection and introspection, and transformation. Like all of these sort of go together. And, you know, these are in reverse. Then we have Golden Healer, which is like a deep, profound healing and a transformation. And so I'm getting that, like, they're aware, I think, after after the fact that they were not thinking the most clearly. Because this was in reverse with wise decision. They were not thinking the most clearly at that time, you know. And so it's just a struggle for them, I think. This is about what their pride would never tell you, is that their emotions were out of whack and they weren't able to, because judgment and golden healer too, like, I get like a Jesus vibe with this golden healer. Like, I know Jesus was a healer, and I'm getting that, judge not lest you be judged. It's like on some level, there's like this spiritual understanding of all of us not really being able to judge not really being in a position to judge another person, because we have stuff that we can be judged for as well, and to have that compassion and understanding. But it's difficult to have that compassion and understanding when you're triggered as hell, right? When, like, I'm getting like this big, like, their emotions are so out of whack, and it's like they're not able to observe their emotions from like a higher perspective, which is what I'm getting with this sacred mountain. Because this is like taking time out. You know, I'm seeing someone kind of going up the mountain to the peak of the mountain and just sort of looking downwards and able to observe everything from a more holistic point of view, right? As opposed to just from your own perspective, you know, because it's kind of like with this spiritual vibe that I'm getting is like being able to see something from just a really higher perspective, you know. And it's like, I think they really struggle with looking at things like that, particularly in the moment, when their emotions are out of whack. And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to, but I think this person would never admit and never come back and say, hey, I was wrong to judge you. I was just completely triggered and thrown out of whack because of some stuff that, perhaps happened to me in the past, or some stuff that in my childhood kind of made me a certain way, or my parents were a certain way, so I judged certain qualities in other people, or whatever, like something along those lines, right? So it's like they're not able to really recognize how judgmental they're being in the moment, because they're not really able to observe things from like a higher point of view, because they struggle to regulate their emotions. But when they find that sort of peace and the waters start to calm, they're able to understand things a little bit better, and they're able to see things more clearly, like Athena here in this owl, and that too. And with sexual wisdom, there's something like tied to this Ten of Pentacles with this. So maybe there's some judgments around sex, around intimacy, around like kind of being in touch with themselves. Like they're not able to really be in touch with themselves, and that's maybe why they're not able to really regulate themselves in the moment. Like I'm getting someone who's like sort of repressed, maybe their sexuality, repressed their feelings. And so this person, I feel like, can talk a good game about, I'm getting this with the Kyanite and the blue, about how understanding and compassionate, and how they can sit there. I'm saying, like, it's kind of like a hypocrite in a way. Like, I don't want to use that word, being a hypocrite, but it's like on the one hand, like, they'll be able to say the right things, where they'll say, well, yeah, I understand that everyone has their own stuff, and I have my stuff too, but when it comes down to the wire, and like stuff hits the fan, they're not able to really live by that. And so that's where the healing and the transformation and taking the time out to really observe themselves. It's like they're almost so attached to their own feelings and there are these triggers or something from the past. And this is like quite normal. I feel like I mean, I don't want to say it's normal. Again, I'm saying it's normal in the sense that, because I'm applying it to myself, it's like I understand that we all have our own path and challenges to deal with. So this is just what this person's challenge is that they really struggle to regulate their emotions. And when things kind of, calms down and they're no longer triggered, they're able to see things a bit more wisely, more clearly. They'll realize that their actions may have not been the best. Like Athena, I think was like a strategist, just very intellectual, and um, and so it's like, maybe that wasn't the best approach for this situation. I shouldn't have handled it like that. Like, I was being insensitive to this person, and so I feel like there's this duality with this person. And so that's where I say hypocrite, but maybe that's not the right word, because I feel like they do talk like they are understanding and stuff like that. But when shit hits the fan, they're not really able to live by that. And that's because of all the work that, they're not able to observe their feelings as an outsider in that moment. Like, it's like, I think this is like mindful meditation, right? When you're supposed to sort of sit there and see what feelings arise and just observe them and just, not judge them one way or the other and not attach to them. Just feel the sensations like moving through your body. I think maybe this is where the sexual wisdom comes in. It's like being able to sense what's going on in your body and just observe it, and not really attach to the emotion, and then start to observe it. Yeah. And then just keep that sort of aside, as you're making your decisions, and like kind of like taking control of what you want to do and being really in control, as opposed to just reacting off of your emotions because you weren't able to regulate them, you weren't able to observe them, you weren't able to sort of like understand them and take the time out to connect the dots. Like, I'm getting this with the Ten of Pentacles here with this Tree of Life of like, you weren't really able to connect the dots. Like, it's all mushy, right? You weren't able to connect the dots. It's like, oh, I'm being triggered. Like, this is sort of this is like my stuff. This is my reaction right now. But it doesn't mean I have to act on it. This is something different. And that's where I guess the wisdom sort of comes in. So I feel like when it comes to what their pride won't tell you, it's that they struggle to regulate their emotions, right? They're not really able to connect the dots, right? I see this as someone who will quickly blame someone else for how they're feeling. Without really being able to compartmentalize like what's what. And later on, they do feel bad about it. I feel like they do feel bad about it. When all is said and done and everything is calm and peaceful, they realize that they weren't the wisest, that, and I still think that it's to an extent, though. It's to an extent. It's not like they struggle with this. So it's to an extent that they feel bad, but they won't obviously come out and say it, but they'll have a little bit more insight. When they're calmer, they'll realize like, hey, that wasn't the wisest thing. I was just pissed or whatever. But it goes deeper than that. And I think they don't recognize how there's parts of this that they're also not recognizing or realizing. But maybe this is in the works for them. We shall see. So that is your reading on their deep regrets. Like, I feel like they feel bad after the fact. Like, this reminds me of someone who has a temper, right? But instead of it being like an explosive temper, this is someone who can be very cutting with how judgmental they are. Like, and again, this is where I get being a hypocrite. Like, they can talk and say like that they're understanding and that they're, all of these things, but when push comes to shove and it starts to affect them, they don't seem to be the most understanding types of people when they're triggered. So that's the reading group 1. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to see more videos. I will see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, group 2, those of you who picked this pink opal and the death card, this is your reading about deep regret and what their pride would never tell you. I mean, these are pretty strong cards. Like, we have major arcanas, like the Strength, the Death, the Emperor, the Hangman, the Devil, the Tower. When I first pulled this out, I thought it was the Death card, too. It looks like the Death card is coming to collect, or the Grim Reaper is. And then on this side, we have Wounded Healer and Abundance. So, with this pink opal, this is a stone for your heart, right? And I just get that whoever this is that you're inquiring about, what they won't tell you is that, this is where I'm focused when I'm talking about what they won't tell you. This is abundance. Move with the flow of abundance around you and through you. Like, on some level, they know that they want to be free. Like, they want to be free. They want to be happy. I just get the sense that they're just really, these are like people who are so closed off in the heart, right? Like, this is a stone for your heart. This is a stone for a broken heart. This is a stone for maybe a closed off heart too, right? With the Devil card, I mean, I feel like they're so stuck. Like, these two cards, they're stuck, they're trapped, very fear-based. Like, I mean, these cards are really, they're just unpleasant cards. These are unpleasant cards. So it's feeling trapped, feeling stuck, feeling limited, feeling like they have to hold on to, this could be anything. It could be material things. It could be their beliefs, their ideas. This guy looks so miserable. Like, look at his face. He looks so miserable, like, holding on. Let me try and go close, but he looks so miserable holding on to this for dear life. And I feel like that's what they're doing. They know that they're miserable, but they don't want to make any sacrifices to change. So that's what they don't want to admit. They don't want to change. They don't want to make any sacrifices. They don't see a way out. And this is because their heart is closed off. And I think that they know that they're suffering and that they're miserable. And their heart is closed off. And it's like, so they're going to hold on to their misery, to their stuckness. I feel like until something comes in. You see how people right here are coming into this tower? It's like this person is isolated. Like, I see this person being in this tower by themselves. It's reminding me of the castles in Europe during, I don't know, like the medieval periods and stuff. Castles were used to sort of like protect yourself from, intruders. People would put themselves in castles so that they couldn't be attacked. However, it's almost like I'm getting this feeling of like when you isolate, I don't know if this is Robert Greene that I'm thinking about or where I got this from, but it's like when you isolate yourself from others, you're always going to be paranoid and suspicious of what's going on. You're not going to have information of what's coming because you're so isolated, right? But it's like they do it to protect themselves, and they know that they're doing it, and they're miserable doing it. But it's like they're not going to stop until, they go out with a big bang. I'm getting this with the Death card, and this supernova. To me, this is like a supernova in the sky. Like the death of a star at the end where it just explodes. And the tower is like something so big and drastic that happens. And it happens when we're resisting things sometimes too. Resisting a change when the universe comes in and says, hey, like, it's gonna have to go down like this because you've been resisting it for so long. and they feel so out of control of their own life. And I feel like that just, it's like almost like a cycle that they feel stuck, and then they don't want to change anything, and then things get worse, and then they get more paranoid, and then they're more overthinking, and then they're more like, it's just like this cycle, and they just don't feel strong enough to move past this. And I when I say strong enough, I mean strong enough in their heart. I think they have a really broken heart, or a sadness, or a misery, or something about them with this pink opal, because this is healing. This is supposed to be a healing stone for your heart. And here we have wounded healer. And I know that healers have very strong hearts. And so I'm getting that this person has been wounded, that this person wants to move more free, wants to be more in flow. They feel really restricted. And they're afraid that something's coming for them. I feel like this person's anxious and worried, has really, these are really like strong feelings of isolation. Yeah, so I think they'll never admit that how miserable and isolated they are. Yeah. Even though they want to feel better, but yeah. I don't think, it's, it's making me think that some people struggle. I mean, and this is, of course, life is a journey. I was going to say a journal. I don't know why I was going to say journal. But some people really struggle to get really honest with themselves, right? This is like the type of energy of someone who doesn't want to face something, someone that would rather stay stuck because they don't want to face something. They don't want to heal themselves, because a wounded healer, when I think of a wounded healer, is someone who has the capacity to heal themselves. Like no one else can heal this for them. No one can force them to change. It says death and rebirth. No one can force them to transform. No one can force them to open up or to take that risk. It's like they don't want to take a chance opening up. They don't want to sacrifice anything. Any of their fears, any of their worries. They'd rather stay isolated and alone and miserable and cling on to whatever they think they need to cling on to. And it's like those things that they're clinging on to, it's actually like the illusion that it's actually has them prisoner, as opposed, like, what am I trying to say is like they think that they're holding on to something, but those things are holding on to them, if that makes sense. And they're stuck. Yeah, they're very stuck. And they're the only ones that can heal themselves. They must be aware of that, because this is about what their pride won't tell them. They know on some level that they want to have more serenity, more peace, be more in flow with life, not be so uptight and controlling, because it's like their mind is sort of keeping them prisoner, right? It's like it's imposed by themselves. They know that this is self-imposed, but they just don't think that they're strong enough to get out of it. They don't have enough, I was going to say agency. They don't feel like they have enough agency, enough power to change anything, and they don't even want to make even the slightest bit of sacrifices. It's like they want to, but they're not doing it, kind of thing, So yeah, so this is someone who knows that this is on them to do, and they just don't want to take a chance to do it. They don't think they're strong enough. They and then here I'm looking at the Emperor here with the shield on. It's like they don't want anything to like penetrate, or they don't want to be hurt anymore, and they just don't want to do the work to heal themselves, because they know on some level that this is someone who's like bitter. This is what I'm getting, is someone who's very bitter and isn't willing to give anything another chance. So yeah, so they know it's on them. They know that they have to change. I feel like they feel like they're at their end of their rope. That all what's left is some, divine intervention to take place, like something coming to collect. Maybe they're afraid of losing stuff, right? Maybe they're getting to like the later stages in their life, or I'm seeing now with the gray hairs, and they've been holding on, and they've been in this energy for so long that they're afraid. Like maybe they're afraid of getting older. They're afraid that people are going to come and collect. It's like they could see. It's like, you say you're in a castle, like that example that I gave of like the medieval castles, being like a means to protect. But it's like now, but it's like you're not only, but you're protecting yourself, but you're also trapping yourself. Like, see these people marching in. It's like they're coming now. They're coming. They're coming. The Grim Reaper is coming. Their fears are coming true. This is what they keep thinking, and they're stuck. So they want to change. They know their heart needs to heal. They know they have a lot of things, but they just can't take that chance. They can't take that risk. They don't want to sacrifice any discomfort, even though they're very miserable and uncomfortable. And they don't want to start to heal themselves. Even though they want to. It's like they want to, but they don't want to do anything for it. That's pretty much the message here. So that's their that's the message. What their pride won't tell you. They're afraid that their time's running out. So yeah. Anyways, that's your reading, group 2. If you liked it, please leave a like. Please subscribe to see more videos. And yeah, I was gonna say, maybe I gotta stop doing readings like this. This is like pretty intense. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye. Okay, group 3, you guys who picked this Cheetah Agate and this Hermit card, this is your reading on the deep regret and what their pride would never tell you. So, I'm getting that this person is a friend. We have the 11th house here in reverse. So this is probably a friendship or someone that you know socially. And what I'm getting with them is that their regret is like, obviously like, I'm assuming here that there's something that went wrong in the friendship. We have the 3 of Swords in reverse and Shapeshifter. And what I'm getting with the Shapeshifter card and the Cheetah Agate is, with shapeshifting, this reminds me of, in shamanism, we do like spirit dances and stuff where you connect with your spirit guides or certain animals, and you take on, you merge with them, and you start to feel their energy, and you just merge with them, right? And so this is what I'm getting with friendships as well, right? So this is what they're thinking, or this is what I'm thinking that they're thinking, is that, when you're in a friendship, you do have to sort of shapeshift in a way, because it's like 2 people coming together, right? And so how they think and how you think may be different, but you have to come to like a happy medium, right? And I'm getting with this is like, and we have moderation here too, and mind focus, is like, I feel like these people are realizing that it's almost like they're stuck in their way of thinking. They're stuck in their own belief systems, their way of thinking, as it relates to this friendship, right? As opposed to like really trying to understand and kind of merge with the other person as well and take into, it's like say something like they disagree with, it's like they're very extreme in the way that they think, right? And I think they're aware of that, right? They've reflected on it. This is the Hermit card. This is about reflection, and it's like you could see her starting to elevate as well. And so I feel like this person is realizing that, you know, the part of the reason why this friendship went left or went south or whatever has to do with the fact that they were not open-minded, right? With emergence, invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, and to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. Let's just look at this. This is number 25, and this is number 25 as well. It's all in divine order. Allow. How can you relax into the flow and go with the current of life? So I'm getting that this person, because this moderation card comes up to me, is like there's some type of conflict with how you guys kind of merge together, and this person being kind of like stuck on thinking things a certain way and kind of being extreme, right? Because this moderation comes up as like the regret is they should have been a little bit more moderate, like not so extreme in how they viewed whatever conflict or whatever situation arose between the two of you. Like maybe they were sort of stuck in a certain mindset, you know, with this mind focus card. It's like they were stuck, like, no, this is what you did, this is how it happened, as opposed to looking at ways to move past, not move past it, but like it's like they could have thought of the situation differently, you know, like from your perspective per se. Because with this emergence card, you know, it's talking about a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment. And instead of judging, for example, kind of being open to the other person's perspective, right? And how they view things, right? So that you can have peace with them. Because we're all different. Here's a white dove right here as well. And the number 5, or 23 and 14 is the number 5. So it's like they could have brought peace. Like they're realizing they could have brought peace to the situation, right? Just by, opening up their minds a little bit. It's trying to see things from your perspective. And with this divine timing card, it's like even realizing too that maybe it wasn't a good, like they acted too quickly on something. They were a bit extreme in some sort of way, and they acted a little too quickly, right? It's like instead of realizing that, instead of realizing something, yeah. Anyway, so that's what I'm getting from this group is that this person is sort of reflecting and realizing that they were a little too headstrong in some particular area where they could have made an effort to, consider your perspective, consider your thoughts on an issue, and they could have taken a more peaceful approach, and in the sense of like trying to find a compromise, trying to be more understanding, maybe giving things a little bit more time, being more open to seeing your perspective on things, right? And so with this 2 of Wands, not Wands, I said 2 of Wands. Why the 2 of Wands? I guess they're realizing too that, in friendships, in social interactions, I mean, you have to be a little understanding and patient and realize that we all think differently. And that's sort of like, if there are sort of disagreements, like give it some time. Because I'm getting it with this full moon. Something about this full moon here. Like kind of give it some time. Don't jump to conclusions. Like instead go in with the mindset of focusing on like peace, in the sense of like, if you know someone's your friend, you would think that they would give you some sort of leeway to try and understand your perspective. Yeah, so that's instead of coming in kind of extreme and like I'm just feeling that type of energy. Like there was a disagreement, but it was a misunderstanding. You had your perspective, they had theirs. They kind of were really headstrong and thinking that, you know, they're right, sort of thing. When they could have gave it a little bit more time to unfold, instead of focused on your perspective, understanding your perspective, trying to understand that like relationships are about like understanding the other person and not so much about being right, you know. And then there's maybe something about being extreme. I feel like what they were focused on was a little bit extreme. Um, you know, maybe they were stuck. They had a certain idea in their head, and they were just stuck on it. And so, you know, that kind of created the conflict between you. And I think they're starting to see that, like their part in this, you know. Yeah. So that's your reading, group 3. If you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe to see more videos, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, group 4, those of you who picked this rainbow pyrite, this is your reading on what their pride won't tell you. Okay, so I'm getting this maybe a mother figure for quite a few of you. We have Mother Rose returning to each other, compassion and humanity. Or it could just be someone that you were very close to and maybe once upon a time, and they want to reunite with you. They want to, you know, get back together or something like that. So I don't know. I'm feeling like it's a mother though. Feeling like this is a mother figure. And with this 3 of vessels, it's like, and manifestation. I mean, these all go together, right? These are 2 3s. They want to get back together. Like they're trying to manifest. Like you see how these colors are being blended together. It's like they want to create stuff with you. They want to be in your life. You know, it's like merging together, right? But I feel like they don't know how to do that with this 5 of Earth. You know, I'm seeing this wise leadership. So this is definitely like a mother figure or a woman in your life, maybe an aunt or a mother or someone like that who you looked up to in some sort of way or was supposed to be that sort of figure. There was some sort of conflict I'm getting with them. Also with this 5 of Wands. Like you guys just had different perspectives on things. You guys maybe didn't see eye to eye. And maybe there was times where you felt there was like a competitive aspect to this as well. But now what they want, and they don't want to tell you, or maybe they have too much pride to tell you, is that they want to work together. They want to it's like blending these colors together. But they don't know how to do it. Like I'm getting that with this 5 of Earth. Fears surrounding money, the wisdom to accept help from others, uncertain self-employment. And I think this person wants to take the leadership in making things right and making things better. But is like closed off from doing it, right? Because they don't want to accept any help from others. It's like I'm getting the thought of going to therapy. Say it's like family therapy or something. This is an example that just popped in my mind where they would seek out advice, right? But they don't want to do that. Like I'm seeing that like the Apprentice of Swords is usually someone who's pretty open-minded, is willing to do and try different things, just very open-minded. And, you know, this is how they learn, right? But with this sword kind of driven through these books, I'm seeing it as someone who's not open to it, who doesn't want to accept help from others. Is just not open to it. And I see this with Know Your Worth, New Moon in Taurus. And I think it's because for them in some way this would sort of admit to, like they don't want to take a chance, or not a chance, they don't want to take the approach of accepting help because that would mean that they need help. And it's like, it's kind of like that self-esteem thing where it's like I'm not willing to admit that I need help, even though I do need help, but it would make me feel bad to admit it, so I'm just not going to admit it. But I do want things to be better, but I'm just in that spot where I'm just conflicted with asking for help. It's like some people just don't want to ask for help even when they need it. It's like a pride thing, and this is what we're talking about. What their pride won't tell you is that they need help, they want things to get better with you, but they just don't want to make that decision to ask and seek for help, because it's almost like in some sort of way that would be admitting that they don't know something, or they're not good at something. And maybe this person is used to being like a strong figure. I almost wanted to say a know-it-all. I'm seeing this horse. It reminds me of like a chess piece, like the rook. And with that rook, I'm getting, it's like they know they have to move differently. Like the rook that's not the rook. The rook is the one that goes like this. The horse is, I forget what the horse is. Is that called the rook? That's going to bother me now. But it's the piece that moves like 3 pieces up and then 1 to the side. So it's kind of a different movement. It's not one that's like vertical or straight or diagonal or one, it's not like a pawn. It just moves like a little bit to the side. So I'm getting like they're going to have to move a little bit differently to manifest this reconciliation with you. And they need help to know what to do, because this is sort of outside of their realm of knowing what to do. And that's where the conflict lies, but they're not open to it. It's almost like admitting defeat in some sort of way, to have to move differently. And it's not that they don't mind moving differently. It's like they just don't want to ask for help in doing that, right? Because they're so focused on how that's going to make them look, or how that's going to make them feel. I feel like what other people will think. I'm just also getting that from this 5 of Wands. Because maybe, like for some of you guys too, I just got that maybe you're kind of a little bit different or eccentric, or you're just not, or this is how they perceive it. It's like it's something sort of different or eccentric. I'm getting that with this rainbow about you. I just got LGBTQ plus. For some of you guys, maybe this is something they're not familiar with, or they're not used to, or they don't know. It's like, now a lot of people are having to be educated on certain things, right? Like having to do with like transgender, or like, and it's something that they need to be schooled on, but they're just having a problem with, they're too focused on like their insecurities. I guess I'll put it that way. They're too focused on their insecurities about asking for help. Although they do want things to get better. They do want to come back together and reconcile. But there's a lot of stuff they don't understand. And they're seeing this as like maybe a failure, in the sense of like needing to ask for help. So that's what I'm getting. But they definitely do want to reconcile. They do want things to be better. But they're stalling. They're stalling on this decision to ask for help and to, kind of like open their minds up as well to what options and opportunities there are out there for them to reconcile, but what they won't say is that, that's what they won't say is that it's like, I don't know, like I said, it's like they gotta move differently in this scenario, and they know that, but it's like they want to be sort of like independent and do this on their own. It's like they don't want other people to know something. They don't want other people to know that. They don't want other people to know that they're in therapy or they're doing something like that, where it looks like they don't have the answers, and so they're stalling on making this decision to do that because it doesn't make them feel good. But it also doesn't make them feel good that you guys are sort of separated, or that things, didn't really go too well. Like they could have been more understanding and compassionate towards you, but they just didn't know how to go about it. But yeah, but they're opening their minds, but in the same token, they're like opposed to it as well. So there's some work here, and I feel like it's going to take time because I'm seeing this butterfly, but something's going to transform in the future. That's sort of the message as well that's here. They're working on it. They're trying to manifest this as well. Maybe they'll try to do it in a way that isn't too obvious, but we shall see, right? So that's your reading group 4. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to see more videos. Bye.